PlayStation Experience 2016 was a critical success, in my opinion, not only with the really good keynote, but with the 6 different developer panels that I'll be running between today and tomorrow, getting a lot of insight in all things Sony. And this press conference is really billed as for the fans. I think Sony missed the boat on this in the previous 2 PlayStation Experience conferences, but I think this one they did a really, really good job of showing off some AAA games, some indie games, a lot more game-based than in the past, and I thought it was really, really good, and it felt like more casual than E3, if that's possible, although E3 is mostly just trailers and bombs after bombs after bombs, and that press conference was very hard to follow, but I think they did a good job. And I think if Sony can stick to having a really good E3 press conference and a really good PlayStation Experience conference about 6 months apart, I think it's going to be keeping their games much more relevant, and I think it's going to make their brand much better. As you guys know, that Microsoft has slowly been chipping away at that insurmountable, or so we thought, PlayStation 4 versus Xbox One sales lead. This felt like the great time for Sony to come out, stick their flag in the ground and say, hey, we are not going anywhere. Some major announcements came out of it. I'm not going to go through every single one of them. The press conference was a little over an hour in runtime. I thought it was a perfect time to kind of show what they needed to show without being too long-winded. We got some really cool things. We got to see the Uncharted 4 DLC coming out called The Lost Legacy. That's a prequel to the original story. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I think Naughty Dog does amazing stuff, and this doesn't disappoint. We got to see Marvel vs. Capcom 4 coming out, but that's not really a PlayStation exclusive. I had wished they would focus more on what Sony fans are getting, since this is a Sony conference. Debuting something that is not a console exclusive, I don't know how I feel about that. I guess if there's some unique feature or character that comes out, maybe that would be kind of neat. But debuting a game that's going to get a lot of press conference over the next year, probably not the best use of time. We got to see some remasters coming of Parappa the Rapper. I remember playing the hell out of that game on my PS1. I'm very excited to get back into it. I don't know how it's going to hold up the test of time. There were 2 other games that they announced. I don't remember the names of them now, but they'll probably do some sort of bundle, I guess. And hopefully they're not too expensive, because I don't think I would spend $60 on Parappa the Rapper anymore. I don't know how well that game's going to hold up in terms of age. I don't know if they're remastering it just graphics or actual gameplay. Not that there was much gameplay per se, but we will have to see. Knack 2 is coming out. No one saw this one coming, right? Now, I know a lot of people bombed on Knack, but I actually liked the first one quite a bit. And I'm curious to see where the story goes, because it did kind of end on somewhat of a cliffhanger. I think that's going to be a really good brand for Sony to highlight some of their better graphic systems with this HDR on this PlayStation 4. They're going to have to do a lot to win over the fans, because a lot of people were not very thrilled with the original. There was a huge portion in the middle where Sony showed off such amazing indie games, but they did not show the titles, so I don't know how to describe these to you. Absolver looks very interesting to me with melee fighting. And there's also a game coming out called Pyre, which looks really good. But unfortunately, again, there were so many of these sizzle reels where I think they just wanted to throw so much quantity, at people and say, hey, look at all these great things we're doing, and look at how exciting this is. But there was nothing to sink my teeth into as a fan to say, hey, let me put that on my radar, let me Google it, let me, find out more about it. I think that was the biggest miss of the press conference by far. They announced a free game available right now. Well, not right now. I just checked my PlayStation 4 and it's not available. But it will be soon. It's called Let It Die. I've heard of this game in the past. It's going to be free to play. I don't know what kind of microtransaction system is in place, but anything that they give away for free is fun. I always like that when they're watching a press conference, and if you guys watch my reaction video, I'm always a big fan of, or looking forward to, I should say, when they do the big bomb drop and they go, it's available right now, and everybody loses their freaking mind. That's when you get the hype. That's when you get the really quick buy-in on things. So there wasn't a ton of those, and I think that is probably the other big miss. But okay, I'll take it. What else do we see? Neo, we knew that was coming out. That was kind of exciting. And then they ended with the granddaddy of them all. Uncharted 2 does exist. And we have Ellie, who looks a little bit older than she did before. They said the game is in early development. I was very surprised that they decided to stick with Joel and Ellie. I kind of thought their story could have ended on the original Last of Us, and if they wanted to do some sort of sequel, it could have been, meanwhile, in the other part of the world, this is happening. But the fact that Joel and Ellie are still around, at least for some point of this game, does give me a little bit of pause. But I have trusted Naughty Dog. I think they do amazing work. So we'll see where it goes. So there you go. Quick highlight of some of the things. I did a prediction video earlier in the week. Don't know how many I got right. Don't even remember what my predictions were. But I can tell you guys that this conference was great. And I hope you guys all check it out if you haven't. I watched it live. And I think it would be great if Sony continued doing this. And I would love to see this from Xbox as well. I would love to see an Xbox-only type conference, maybe kind of around the same time. And just keep the train rolling, keep the hype rolling. I think that's what's going to keep fans going. There you guys have it. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes or less. See you on the other side.